Hey, it's Dan Lear. Welcome back to 5 Steps to Undeniable Self-Confidence. And I'm proud of you for what you've done so far. So let's talk about it. Step 1, we made a decision. We made a decision that our life is worth more than we're giving it right now. It's worth more than what we are. And so we made a decision that we're going to be more. And then we talked about some simple things that we can do. We talked about what are we absolutely tired of? What are we done with? Coming up with certain feelings, like feelings of inadequacy. I'm just done with the fact that I don't have confidence to go meet somebody. So we came up with those in day 1. Step number 2 was about owning it. And owning it was about taking responsibility. Because when you own it, you're able to respond, response-able. And then we talked about identifying what are the areas that you'd like to improve on. What are some things, or why aren't you doing these things that you want to do? And remember, we had a couple squares here. One of them was, I need to work on meeting people. I'm not meeting enough people. And we said, why? And we talked about that you're too shy or that we don't know how. And then we talked about some steps to show you how to meet people. Now, today is about putting it all together. Today is about taking action and actually doing it. Because here's the thing. Today, action. Because that's the thing. Here's what I know. Many of you know my background. Been in this game for a long, long time. Worked with the best of the best. Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley, Og Mandino, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, you name it. And what I know from my experience in meeting with top people and meeting with multimillionaires and billionaires and meeting top people from around the globe over the last 10, 20 years is that the most successful people, I'm not talking about wealth here, I'm talking about successful people, successful in finances, relationships, family life, life balance, fitness, successful people. They're not the smartest people around, they're not the best looking, the best dressed, the most educated, the most charismatic. They don't drive the nicest cars. No, they're simply the people who get themselves to do the little tiny things day after day after day. They get themselves to take action and follow through. So I'm going to talk to you today about the psychology of setting yourself up for success so that you can put an action plan together and actually do it. So let's talk about making that happen. Let's talk about an action plan. So today we're going to talk about the psychology of achievement. What makes people do what they do, or what allows them to do what they do? And part of it is, it's the belief that it's possible. But yet, once we get there, then we have to actually put it into action and make some steps to make it happen. And that's where many people fail. Many people never get to that place, but once they do, they attempt to change the world in a day. And I'll give you a simple example. Let's talk about something that many people or many of your friends want to do. And not just your friends, but anybody. Our country, as you know, is if you look at the numbers, they say that our country is 30 to 40% of our population is obese, if you will. So it's not uncommon for people to want to lose weight, right? Especially around the new year. This is my year, baby. This is it. That's right. I'm dropping 50 pounds. I'm going to get ripped. Boom, I'm going to the beach. Well, they make those plans on New Year's Eve while they're drinking a little champagne and woo, it's gonna be my year, baby. Yeah. And then they get up the next day and, they had made these plans to drop 50 pounds and get into great shape. And then the next morning they wake up and, they're going to a few parties. They've got beer and chips and guacamole and oh my goodness, forget about it. It's over, screw it, I'm happy, forget it. And the reason why that happens is we bite off more than we can chew. When someone's going to a party and they have in their brain, I've got to lose 50 pounds, then they feel like a failure if they do one thing that's outside the boundaries of this small, narrow parkway. And then they feel like a failure and they quit. So what we want to do is that we want to set ourselves up psychologically to win, all right? That is the key. What do we want to do? We want to win. And how do you do that? How do you win? Well, here's the key to success. We're going to set up some doable actions. What does that mean? Doable actions are simply actions that you know you can do, you feel comfortable with. So let's take it back to the weight example, right? Person says, this is it, baby, I'm dropping 50 this year. Well, let's just peel it on back. And let's take it from this angle. And this is a real situation that I've encountered. A person came up to me after one of my events and gave me one of those, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds type of thing. And I asked that person, I said, I'm just curious, what's your name, by the way? His name was Jim. I said, Jim, how long have you been attempting to lose this weight? Actually, I think he said 60 pounds. And he said 20 years. Now, again, going from 0 to losing 60 pounds and something you haven't been able to do for 20 years, that's a challenge. And what do you think his self-confidence is like in the area of losing weight? Really low. So he's willing to do anything. But what I did is I just coached him up a little bit and I said, look, I want to see you succeed. You've done this before and it hasn't worked. And he goes, yeah, I can't stick through it. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, no kidding, because you're setting yourself up to fail. So here's what we want to do. Think about, this is just a simple example on this other gentleman. So what I asked him, I said, how about, do you think you could lose 2 pounds this month? And he's looking at me and he's kind of laughing. He's like, look at me, of course I can lose 2 pounds. I breathe out 2 pounds. Funny guy. Anyway, I said, well, do you think that's possible? What do you think you need to do to lose 2 pounds this month? He knew the answer. He goes, oh, listen, I just have to cut down on my Coke consumption, no desserts, I can take a walk now. I mean, he already knew what to do because it was doable. And so then you think about the logic behind it. Okay, can you lose 2 pounds in a month? Just say January. Of course you could. Boom. Then you do it again in February. Because here's what happens, and here's what I want you to realize about this lesson right here. When you set yourself up to fail, and then you fail, your self-esteem goes down. How do you set yourself up to fail? By biting off too big of a chunk. I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. How do you set your self-esteem up to win? Your self-confidence? You set small chunks, doable bites that you know you can do, and then you start building on it. You ever heard that term, Rome wasn't built in a day? Your self-confidence will not be built in one day. So you've got to be willing to put in the work and do the consistent work necessary to make that change, right? So then the guy loses 2 pounds a month, it's 24 pounds over the course of the year. Bang, I feel great. But it's over the course of a year. But he did it in doable chunks. So he did the first month, he feels good, self-esteem goes up. Self-esteem says, self-confidence, unconscious mind says, that was great, I want to do it again because we want to be successful. So he does it again, boom. February, we're going into March, boom, building up some momentum. I know I can do it now. Then of course, as I just said, after 12 months, that's 24 pounds. That's a lot different than waking up and saying, I'm dropping 24 pounds this year. It's a long goal, it's deep. I need something measurable and something doable that you can stick with, right? So in the last exercise, what we did was we identified some things that we thought were holding us back. Like for instance, we had a box up here that says we weren't meeting people. And I had 3 reasons in there, or 3 excuses, or 3 points, and one of them was that I didn't know how, right? So I gave you the how. I gave you the 4-step process, 4-point connection strategy in a business sense. And if you remember that strategy, the first question was, what do you do for a living? Number 2 is, how'd you get started in that business? Number 3 is, what do you like about it most? And number 4 is, what's the most challenging part of your business right now? Those 4 questions give you a track to run on, right? So now what we're gonna do is whatever you came up with of why you're not doing what we're doing, we're gonna put an action strategy together, right? What are some things we can do for that area, okay? So on my area that I said, meeting people. I had the 4-point connection strategy, right? That was the thing that I came up with in our last exercise. So what would be a doable goal for me to feel good about something like that, if in fact that was my game plan? I mean, what would be the goal for me? And so here's where the rubber meets the road. Here's where you have to make a decision about you raising your self-confidence. So I want you to come up with something you can do in that area that you know you can do and you're willing to do, and we got to string it together. So for instance, if I said, okay, I like this 4-point connection strategy, I know that I can do it, and so how am I going to do it? What are the steps? Here's what we're going to do first. We're going to break it down, because here's what I would say. I would say, well, can you go meet one person each day, just one person a day, and use this strategy to introduce yourself? And of course, you want to say, yes, of course I can. But if you don't know how to do it and you haven't done it before, your unconscious mind says, I don't know. Yes, I say yes, but unconsciously you're like, I don't know. And that's the challenge. So what we have to do is we have to remove that fear. We have to come up with something that you know you can do and you know you're good with, and we got to ramp it up, right? So if we're not good with going out and meeting people, well, what else could I do? Well, you know what I could do? I could practice it on my roommate or my sister or my brother. So here's my action strategy. I'm going to practice the 4-point connection strategy with my roommate 2 times per day. So that's my goal for this month, for this week. Let's just say this week. I'm going to do the 4-point connection strategy twice a day with my roommate. Why? To get some reps. Because if you don't do it with your roommate, you're never going to do it out in the public. Remember, it's kind of like training wheels. We've got to get ourselves to get some confidence and get rolling. You know, you're never going to cut down on the pork roast if you're not able to get rid of the cheesecake, right? So we got to start small. So again, this is just my example. This is not what you were doing, but I'm giving you an example of what I could have done based on our conversation yesterday. So what is this? This is all about action. This is all about taking what we've done in day 1 and day 2, and let's put it into action and get ourselves a game plan for success. Okay, what was we also talked about physical body. Remember that? You know, I had this box and I had 3 reasons in here, or 3 excuses why I wasn't able to improve my physical body. And one of them is that I've never been that athletic. And number 2 is, I feel intimidated when I go to the gym. And number 3 was, I don't know how to do the exercises, right? Again, what's preventing you? What's stopping you from going to the gym? Why aren't you going to the gym? You got to come up with those reasons. We have to write them down, and then we got to fix them. So how I fixed meeting people is I figured out the 4-point connection strategy that I gave you, and now I'm going to practice with my roommate 2 times a day for the next week. That gives me 14 reps. Boom. Now, physical body. What am I going to do? Okay, what am I going to do to increase my physical body? Now, let me tell you something. This is really simple. You can do small stuff. Again, I'm giving you little tools to do and the power of consistency. So here's what I've done. I've broken some exercises down into bite-sized chunks that I do every single day that has allowed me to do things that I think other people are just not doing. So for instance, it's always been important to me to stay in shape. Now, when I got sick, I lost some of this stuff. I wasn't doing it every day, but as of now, back on track, doing it. Even if I don't feel good, I do part of it, but it's about the repetition, about doing it every day. So here's how the numbers shake out and what I do. I do these crunches. I do 50 crunches on this ball, right? Not a big deal, it's just a ball. I'm not doing them hard. I'm like watching TV in my house, doing these crunches. I do 150 a day. That might be a lot for you, but it just is. That's what I've worked up to. What's interesting is 150 a day. 150 a day equals 4,200 over the course of a month. Over the course of a year, 50,400 crunches. Come on. Now think about you. Just say you wanted to get in better shape, and I'm just using this as an example, something you can do every single day. What if you said, I'm doing 10 push-ups a day, 5 in the morning and 5 at night? Well, 10 push-ups a day, right, after a week is 70. 70 push-ups a week. Over a month, that's 300 push-ups. After the course of a year, that's over 3,000 push-ups. So the key is breaking down what you'd like to do in doable chunks and then making it happen, right? So that's our goal today. That's what we want to do. So we're taking your situation of the areas that you would like to improve on and the reasons why you're not doing it. And we're taking that reasons and we're fixing it and we're creating an action plan, and that's what we just did today. So remember your plan yesterday. We're moving on this plan and creating a doable action. Mine was meeting people, right? That's what we figured out. 4-point connection strategy. I'm gonna practice with my roommate. And then see, then it's a graduation. After your roommate, then you feel pretty good. And then you wanna go out and do it in public. And so there's the key. Once we do this for the first week, then we need to go to the next level. What would be the next step? And that's maybe where you need your friend or your roommate or somebody that can help coach you, right? So if you did that for the first week, what would be the next step for you to go out and practice your new skill, right? You got to go out every single week and you got to make sure you meet at least 5 new people utilizing this strategy. But that might only come after week 1 or week 2, after you've gotten some reps in. So many reps with your friends or your roommate or your dog that you feel confident in doing it. Because see, remember, you're not going to do it unless you feel good about it. And that's what you have to do. You have to get yourself in a place you feel good about it. So we're breaking it down. We're reducing it to the ridiculous. You know, in the sales game, if you're in sales, you take the investment or the price, and you can break it down, reduce it to the ridiculous and say, oh, it's just like a Starbucks. It's only a few bucks a day. You know, $1,400. It's only $4 a day, reduced to the ridiculous. What we're doing with our game plan is reducing it to the ridiculous, something that you know you can do, something you can follow through on. And once you follow through on something you know you can do, your self-esteem goes up. As silly as it sounds, it goes up. And then you start doing it, raising it up and doing more of it. So that's your assignment today. You're creating an action strategy for yourself to go out and practice and do the things you want to do. And you've got to, this is where your creativity comes into play. I'm not able to tell you what to do because I don't know exactly what your challenge is. But self-confidence comes from taking action consistently towards a goal that you want to achieve, right? So whatever that is, you want to have more self-confidence? Let's set some goals out here, some doable, attainable goals that we can start working for every single day. I'll give you an example. If you want to get smart, you want to feel smarter, you know, seriously, make yourself a commitment that you're going to read. How long? 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes. For instance, I don't want you to get too smart, right? I'm being serious about this. 10 minutes a day. Yeah, read something on success. Read something on something you're interested in. Read something on whatever. There's something you want to improve on for 10 minutes a day. Before you go to bed, you get in your bed, open up the book, read for 10 minutes, close the book, shut the book, go to sleep. Get up the next day, go about your day. When you get to bed, open up your book, read for 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day is close to an hour. It's over an hour if you do it 7 days a week. I mean, that's 54 hours over the course, 54 hours in the course of a year. That's 2 university semesters. So the point is, 10 minutes a day, it can raise your level of confidence. And so again, what is it that you want to improve your self-confidence in? And that's where we need to make the steps. Bite off a small chunk, start doing it, raise the game, all of a sudden you start feeling better, self-confidence higher, you get a little bit better, get a little bit more, you know, and you got to make that happen. You know, some people, you know, I talk to people all the time, and one of the issues is that, you know, I'm afraid to speak my mind. You know, what if I don't have something to say that's positive? What if I don't have something meaningful to say? Well, the fact is you do have something meaningful to say. The fact is you do have something that's important. You've got to get clear with you that you have an important opinion and you have something to say. And all you can do is practice on that as well. You need to practice articulating yourself. You need to practice with your voice projection, because it's called confidence and congruence. Congruence means that your voice tones align with your body tones, which align with what you're actually saying, right? So for instance, you could say something like, I really love you. Well, what you said is I love you, but you said it in a way that it didn't match my voice tones or my body. I was incongruent. It wasn't believable, right? So you've got to be able to say something congruently, where you say something, people believe you mean it, because it comes out with with the right projection. It comes out with certainty. It has some tone on it. Got some confidence on it, right? It doesn't mean you have to yell, but you just have to say things with confidence. So again, these are things you can practice. So that's your goal today. Step 3 is put it into action. Doable goals, doable, achievable goals. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. And I'll see you at the next step. Good job today. You're making it happen.